Okay, so you're looking for a build to dominate with Tormin, and I've got the build for you. A super fun build that I've used to absolutely wreck in the arena, and I'll show you the build, the masteries, and everything that goes into Tormin to build him for success and utilize him to maximize his strengths. Let's get into it. Okay, so before I show you the build that I'm talking about here with Tormin and everything that goes into it, we have to understand really quickly what makes Tormin so good. And there's a few different things. So the main flagship ability of Tormin is this passive right here that gets a little bit wordy, but the thing that you mainly want to understand is that he's going to be freezing your opponents whenever they do things like a turn meter fill or place a buff. But it has to be something that the enemy actually does. It can't be like a passive thing from an artifact set or something. Like if they're wearing the bolster set, that shield that they place on everybody, that isn't going to proc the Tormin freeze. It has to be something like an arbiter boosting everybody's turn meter, like from an active skill that your opponent does. And then his main ability right here that his AI is going to typically prioritize at the start of a fight is going to be an AoE that can place a block buffs. If they've gone first and they've already been frozen, he can block buffs and place a heal production to really help you outscale people over the long haul. But if they're not under a freeze, at least he'll get value and place a little bit of CC with that AoE provoke. And then this is something a lot of people forget to utilize, is that Tormin can actually help you reset cooldowns on your team if you pair him with somebody that does an HP burn. And then also he's got the A1, and this is going to lead into why I build him with the build that you'll see in this video. He's got the A1 that can not only freeze, but it's an AoE. So if we pair him in something like a stun set, we've got a champion that has a default AoE and another AoE right here to get lots of CC coming from him with the freeze, the provoke, and then also something like a stun set to just help us get that triple layer of constant CC on the battlefield. And like I said, if you paired him with somebody that does an HP burn, he's going to be constantly counterattacking with the skill and popping off to keep those CCs rolling immediately. And he's got the remove all buffs from a target enemy, and then he's going to steal them instead if they're under a freeze, and he'll ignore defense. So Tormin can actually hit decently hard with this A2 right here, and he's a Void Affinity champion, so he'll never be hitting weak. Also, something super nice down in the base stats is that he does start with 20 accuracy, and this is not something that's super common in the game. So it's going to help us be able to get him with enough accuracy to be placing those freezes and provokes and everything that he's kind of doing within his kit. And the build that I want to show you here on my Tormin is the stun lock Tormin version, where we place him in 4 pieces of stun and then 2 pieces of whatever kind of synergizes with that well based on the gear that you have. And you've got a Tormin that's going to constantly be rolling out lots of AoE, CC, passive CC. He can help you build defensive teams. He can really counter those arbiters that you come across in the arena that are super common. When you get to like into gold 1, gold 2, arbiter might be the most common champion you see in the arena, and Tormin can be an amazing option for some of those lazy arena teams that you want to build. And the highlights that you're going to want to know when you're putting a build together for him is to probably get accuracy on the banner and then as much speed and toughness as you can get on the base stats. For the amulet, you're looking for as much defense, HP, and accuracy that you can get. And then on the ring, you can see I'm using a reaction piece, and this is going to be amazing because Tormin is going to be typically in defensive teams. So anytime that you can avoid damage by turning crits into non-crits is going to be amazing for him. So look out for reaction pieces if you've got any on your account. And on the ring, you're just looking for as much defense and HP that you can get. Then for the boots, there's a lot of different options you can go with. You can go speed, defense, or HP as the main stat on your boots. And what I did here was I went with HP because these are amazing. I get crit, speed, a maxed out accuracy, and a lot of defense to boot as well. So I'm basically getting every single stat that I want in the stun set. These are a godly piece right here. And you know what? Let's go ahead and ascend these while we're here because these boots are absolutely amazing. We got flat defense, a little bit unfortunate there. We were hoping for a % stat. Now on the chest, you can go either accuracy or defense depending on how high up in the arena you are and how good your banner is and some of your glyphs and how high you can scale up your accuracy based on all the bonuses you have going into him. You may want to consider an accuracy chest because we are going to get a lot of value out of making sure that he can place those freezes consistently, that he can steal the buffs, remove the buffs, place those provokes, and everything that he does in his kit. So he definitely needs a lot of accuracy. You can either go accuracy, defense, or HP as the main on the chest right here. And then the gloves are kind of the same story. You want defense or HP and get as much speed and accuracy and toughness that you can get as possible here on the gloves. Now on the top pieces, It's pretty simple. We're looking for speed, accuracy, and toughness on the different pieces. You don't really need to build Tormin as a damage dealer and stack a bunch of crit rate or something. He can hit all right. He can hit like maybe slightly below average, but he's not going to be some nuker. So we can go mainly the support and toughness and accuracy stats while putting him together. Then real quick for the booking process before we get into the masteries, I do think he's worth spending books on. It's going to cost you the 2 plus 3 is 5 plus 2 is 7, and then plus 4 is 11. So it is going to cost you 11 books to book him. But he is just one of those flagship champions that you kind of want laying around on your account. So if you're lucky enough to have Tormin, I wouldn't feel bad at all about spending the books on him. They're going to make him function a lot more consistent. It's going to make all these buff, debuff chances on the different stuff that he does with the passive and the A3 a lot better. And even on the A1, it'll take it all the way from 15 to 25. So the books are definitely worth it on Tormin. You don't have to feel bad about using them. Then on the masteries, there's a few different ways you can go with the masteries on Tormin. I think typically you're going to want to go for defense and support because remember, we're not building him as a damage dealer, and we really want to get some of the stuff that's going to snowball with his kit over here on the support tree. Now, one mistake that some players might make is thinking the sniper mastery is going to be amazing because it'll help him be more consistent with those freezes, but you can see that right there, the caveat on the second part of the sniper mastery, it does not work with freeze. So we don't have to feel as crazy about getting that one. We can go with the Master Hexer, and it will help us get a little bit more value out of the heal reduction and the block buffs that we can place on some of the people that are already CC'd if we're double dipping with this kit. And then another thing I want to note is over here on the defense side of things, I like taking both Retribution and Deterrence because I want him counterattacking. I've got him built in the stun set, so I want to be proccing those AoEs as often as possible on the A1. And what we're going to be doing right here is constantly counterattacking if we lose 25% HP from like a nuker that hits us, or whenever the enemy team is going to be kind of doing those CC effects on our allies, we're going to run in and stun them or freeze them with our A1 with these double counterattacks. So I think this is a really cool tandem of masteries here for Tormin. And then when we're going to use Tormin in battle, we want to be targeting teams that are going to be boosting here out the gate so we can proc those freezes. So right here, we've got the Arbiter on the other team, and Tormin is going to be amazing in a situation like this, where hopefully if we get decent RNG right there, look at the double freeze coming out from Tormin, and they want to be able to nuke us, but they can't because the Genbo over there on the far left was frozen by the Tormin, and then also the Arbiter is about to waste another turn. So they did actually get a good setup. They got the Ceres to do the strip and the defense break, but they can't do anything. They can't capitalize on it because the Genbo got frozen by the Tormin. And then once we've got our defensive team ready to go and we get to our turn successfully and safely, now we can simply click auto and we will outscale them because they've kind of already bursted their value and they got frozen to not be able to do it. So Tormin helps us clean it up easily. And then on the flip side, some things you might want to think about avoiding with Tormin might be some of those champions that either do cleansing or they place like block debuffs. So a champion like we see right there with that Siphi Rotos team, that could be a little bit rough because Siphi will be placing the block debuffs that she has on her kit. And what that's going to do is prevent Tormin from getting any value. You can see right here on the A2, the block debuffs for 2 turns. So you want to be careful when you're facing like Duchess, Siphi, or anybody that's going to place that block debuffs that will stop your Tormin from snowballing all that value. Also, one thing I want to make sure to note with Tormin is that especially in this build, that stun lock build, any mechanic in the game where you've got somebody joining in with an ally attack can be super powerful. Like we see here with Marichka on the default, it says attack one enemy and then one random ally will team up to join the attack and use their default skill. Well, what does that mean? Tormin is going to come in with that AoE A1 and get not only the freeze, but also the stun if we build him like I showed you in this video. So I hope you enjoyed this build showcase for Tormin the Cold, and if it helped you out, remember to subscribe down below if you enjoy Raid Shadow Legends champion guides and builds, and I will see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.